Welcome to day 3 of day 5, managing your anxiety. Thank you for being here with me, my friends. So, today is about coping skills, and I want to just give you so many coping skills so that you're able to live a life that you feel less and less just tackled by anxiety or weighted by the problems of anxiety. So, the coping skills today is very much connected to rational versus irrational thinking. Now, when we think about rational thinking, an example of that would be something healthy, such as, I am able to finish this 5K race because I have trained for 6 months. Whereas an irrational thought would be, I was late to work today. I'm going to be fired from my job, considering this is the first time you were ever late. So you're able to see that difference there. You're able to see that one's rational because there's evidence behind it, and one's irrational because there's a lack of evidence behind it, and then what's really behind it is just anxiety, this worry with that made-up person who feels that they may lose their job. So for today's skill, I want to walk you through a coping skill, but first we're going to go through some examples, if you will. So the first one is my thought based on facts or feelings? So when you find yourself in an anxiety-like situation, consider that statement there. Is my thought based on a fact or is it based off a feeling? Now, usually with anxiety, you're going to have worries that are going to escalate your symptoms. Symptoms mean you may feel nervousness, on edge, problems focusing and concentrating. And these are the thoughts that are creating these physiological sensations. So what we do with this exercise here is when you find yourself in a situation that you're experiencing anxiety, right? Usually you're going to have some sort of distressful thought, right? So with that thought, you question it by saying, is this a fact or is this a feeling, right? Is this thought based off of a fact or is it based off of a feeling? So an example of that would be that employee who gets to work late and then they find themselves just worried and fixated and thinking, I'm going to be fired, I'm going to be fired. In that moment, that person can say, okay, take a deep breath. Is this thought based off of a fact or is it based off of feeling? And then in that moment, they're able to really just break things down. They're able to say, okay, let's look at the facts. I have never been late to work. This is my only time late to work. So why am I feeling so worried that I'm going to be fired? Oh, it's based off of a feeling. And that would be the way that they would address it. But let's say that for that person, that's not enough. For some of us, maybe we reached our point of managing anxiety at that level. But let's say for some reason you still struggle to reach your point of managing anxiety. Then the next step would be to directly address the thought that you're having by going to that person and have a conversation. So in this example, let's say the employee gets there and they feel like they're going to get fired because they're late. They would go to the employer in a very calm manner. They'll say, hey, I have this issue that's taking place. I was late today. Is this going to affect my work performance, my job here? And then your employer there is going to be able to have a very frank and honest conversation with you. And then that's going to give you even a stronger factual evidence. So that's one coping skill, right? So the coping skill again is looking at, is my thought based on facts or is it based off feelings? The next coping skill that we're going to get into for day 3, be excited, is how would X person see this situation or handle this situation? Now, usually whenever we're in an anxious situation, we have our eyes, our heart, our ears. It's you, it's me, and that anxious related situation. What we want to do is we want to put somebody else in that situation just for a second and see, well, what would this person do? So let's say that we'll go back to the example of the employee who gets to work and they're late that one day and they're sitting there and they're just very distressed. They're anxious, they're worried, they can't focus on the work that they're doing because they're so worried that they're going to get fired based off of this feeling, right? Because through facts, we know that they're not going to get fired. It's the only time they were late. But they use the second exercise that we just started to talk about now, and that's where you put somebody else in that situation and see how they would react to it. So one way to put someone in that situation is just to think about that person. So think about one of your peers and say, okay, what if my friend or my parent or my spouse, X person were in this situation? What would they do? How would they react to it? And then that will allow you to get to a healthier thought process. The other avenue is that you could, like in those Jeopardy shows, you could phone a friend. So you could, literally just say, hey, I'm taking a bathroom break. You go and you call your friend, call that person and say, listen, this is a situation that I'm in. Do you think that I'm looking at it in a rational way, or do you think that I'm acting on feelings? And then your friend's going to help you break down that situation. All right? So you learn 2 strategies here for day 3 and add them to your coping skills. We'll continue to build coping skills as we go on in this journey for managing anxiety. So I will see you, my friends, in day 4. Take care.